Hey everyone, the sun is back. No, not that sun, that sun. Jesus, it's hot here in Poole today. But listen, talking of sun, it appears that Tottenham Hotspur are finally making some moves in terms of a replacement for our very own Heung Min Son. So it was reported very late last night. I was fast asleep, tucked up in bed, snoring my head off, that by Fabrizio Romano, that Tottenham are in club-to-club talks with Manchester City for their 21-year-old winger, Savinho. So, interesting. This has been confirmed as well by David Ornstien this morning. So it seems the in-the-knows that we tend to listen to the most are both reporting this story. Yeah, interesting one. Sounds like the sort of deal that Tottenham would be looking to do, bearing in mind 21 years of age, so young, someone who can attack, very, very direct, dribbling, taking on players one-on-ones, that sort of thing. So yeah, sounds like the kind of deal that we would look to do. Is it the right deal? I don't know. I don't know enough about the player. For me, one season in the Premier League, 4 goals. I haven't watched enough of Man City's football to know whether he is the right sort of player for us. But it does fit the profile that Tottenham are kind of working towards, I guess. Me personally, I'd really like to have seen someone who is a bit more established, someone who you could kind of go, yeah, I can see what they're doing there. That brings a level of experience and quality. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people are anti, but for me, I look at someone like Grealish and I think, you know, he's the sort of player that would be a Tottenham player. You know, he's the way he comes across as a person and his flair and all the rest of it just seemed like a no-brainer to me. But I guess when you're talking 300 grand a week, that kind of does put a bit of a mockers on it. Obviously, the other one we've been talking about most of the time has been Eze. But again, you know, from what you can kind of gather from other people talking, this is a player who is an Arsenal fan through and through. Not that tends to stop players signing for clubs. I don't think that generally stops them. Might be a consideration, I don't know. But I think as a professional, you know, you go where the opportunities arise and so on. And so I don't know whether he would consider us. I mean, he's a player that we've talked about for so long that it feels like another one of those players that, you know, we've kind of flirted with and never really seriously done the business and could have really been a good player for us. I understand that Palace have just lost their appeal and are now going to be in the Conference League, which, to be honest with you, I don't think that's a disaster for Palace, if I'm being honest, because I think it would be really good for them. They just won the Community Shield after winning the FA Cup, and I think the conference could be a competition they could win. I mean, let's face it, West Ham have won it, so why not Palace? And I think that would be great for them to kind of go on that run and really develop as a club and do something. And also it means Forest will be in the Europa League, and I'd like to see them get absolutely smashed every time by everybody and really make themselves look stupid. That would be fantastic to go out at the first attempt after all their kind of shenanigans. Not that I'm bitter or anything about the Morgan Gibbs White deal. Anyway, so yeah, the big news, obviously, Savinho is the one that we're talking about. If it happens, it happens. I'll be happy with it. I tend to think to myself, until they're holding up the shirt, I don't really want to take too much notice of it, because I don't ever, you know, believe it's going to happen. Like I say, you know, we had the Morgan Gibbs White thing, and that was all, yeah, done, dusted, you know, medical booked, all that sort of malarkey. It just didn't happen, and then we're all disappointed. So I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'll wait and see the proper picture and the proper sort of announcement before I get too excited about it. But listen, bringing players in is what we've got to do. We really, really need to. I'm not sure he's the answer, but at the end of the day, if the scouts have done their homework and do they believe that this is the right man and Thomas Frank wants him, then as far as I'm concerned, you've got to trust the manager, because he's going to be judged on the players that come in and the ones that he's saying yes to, right? So it'll be up to him whether this is the answer or not, and I'm just going to trust in that and see what happens, rather than get myself all worked up about, it shouldn't be this one, it shouldn't be that one. Like I say, I don't know enough about the player to decide whether he is the answer or not. I understand he is more prefers to play on the right hand side, which is quite odd because we're looking for someone who can play on the left. I understand he can play on the left, but if he doesn't really want to play there, that's a bit of a worry. But maybe he's happy playing either side, or it just gives us an option to move Kudus into a more central role if that's needed, as a stopgap. But again, I'd much rather see someone come in and pick up that 10 role, because we are woefully short in creativity. But with Kudus on the right and Savinho on the left, maybe that does give us a little bit of balance, and a little bit more freedom maybe in the middle in terms of the players that we've got there, to kind of do something. It does give us maybe backups in terms of, Odegaard, Tell, Johnson would be the backups to those two, I would think. Although I think Johnson could probably play, as a forward as well, in that front three, especially if we don't ever get rid of Richarlison. Maybe he needs to get pushed in there, because he's obviously got an eye for goal. Whether he could play as an out-and-out striker, or maybe, a false nine type thing, I don't know. It's something we'd have to see how that kind of pans out. I wouldn't write him off. As I say, he does know when to arrive in the box. He does know how to put the ball in the back of the net. He can poach goals as well. So, I won't write him off just yet. I know he's not a fan favourite, but top goal scorer for us last season, so you can't just write that off and not expect him to be considered as part of the team. I think Odegaard needs a bit more time. He does look for me, I think he does look like he's got a bit about him. I like the way he kind of goes at players and stuff. I like to see him put the ball in the box a little bit more. But I think, a decent squad player. And again, with Tell, I know people are hating on him, but I don't know. I think there's something about him. He needs a good run, needs a bit of confidence, needs to score a few goals. If he can start hitting a few goals, then I think you will see him grow and grow. I wouldn't want to give up on him just yet. A very, very young man, as most of these guys are now, very, very young, and that's the squad we're building. But anyway, we'll see what comes of it. But at least we're kind of still talking in there. We're still working towards the start of the Premier League, which is coming so fast. So we'll see how it builds from there. But still some work to do for sure. I'm hoping that Daniel Levy can see that as well, and the board, and that Johan Langer has some rabbits up the sleeves that he can pull out. But we shall see. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, up the Spurs.